Let me ask you something honest. How long have you been carrying this weight? Not just the numbers on a bank statement, not just the credit card balance or the loan you're behind on. I mean the actual weight. The kind that sits on your chest when you wake up at 3 in the morning and you can't breathe right. The kind that makes you smile at people during the day, while something inside you is screaming. How long has that been your life? Because I want you to know something before we go any further. I see you. I know exactly why you're here. And what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes is going to completely change the way you understand debt, money, and your relationship with the divine. My name is Rabbi Ezra, and I have spent over 40 years studying the ancient texts, not casually, not as a hobby. I mean, I have dedicated my entire life to understanding the deep mechanics of how prosperity and poverty actually work at a spiritual level. I come from a lineage of rabbis going back 7 generations in Eastern Europe, and the wisdom I carry was passed down to me the same way it was passed down for thousands of years, quietly, directly, from teacher to student. Here is what I'm going to reveal to you today. Psalm 23 is not what most people think it is. Most people read it at funerals. Most people treat it like a comfort poem. But inside this ancient text, the rabbis of the Talmudic era encoded a specific method, a precise, step-by-step activation sequence that, when read correctly, in the right order, with the right intention and the right physical practice, creates a direct energetic disruption in the spiritual root of financial debt. I have taught this method to people drowning in debt, people who had no way out, and I have watched, with my own eyes, debt situations shift in ways that defy conventional explanation within 7 days. Not always completely, but the movement begins, the door opens, the chain breaks, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to do it yourself. The most powerful secret I'll share is toward the end. It involves a specific verse in Psalm 23 that contains what the Kabbalists call a hidden name of God encoded in the Hebrew letters. When you activate that name correctly, you are not asking for help. You are aligning with a force that already exists and already wants to flow toward you. That is the difference between praying and commanding. And the ancient rabbis knew the difference. Stay with me. This is real. This works. And it's been working for 3,000 years. I grew up in a home where money was tight, but wisdom was abundant. My grandfather, may his memory be a blessing, was a rabbi in a small community outside Krakow before the war, and he came to America with nothing, literally nothing. No money, no connections, no language. But within 7 years, he had built a life, a real life. Not extravagant, but completely free from debt. Free from the kind of financial bondage that was destroying families all around him. I need to stop here for a moment. What I'm about to share changed my life, and it's already changing thousands of others. I've put everything into the Jewish Money Code, 3 complete books with all the rituals, prayers, and ancient principles that wealthy Jewish families have protected for generations. This isn't just a video. This is the beginning. If you want the complete system, the link is in the description and pinned in the first comment. I remember sitting with him when I was about 12 years old, during one of the long evenings after Shabbat, when the candles were burning low and the house was quiet. He pulled me close, and he opened a worn copy of Tehillim, the Psalms, to the 23rd chapter. And he said to me something I have never forgotten. He said that most people read these words and hear poetry. But the men who wrote these words were not poets. They were engineers. They were mapping invisible forces. And if you learn to read the map, you learn to navigate the territory. I didn't fully understand what he meant that night, but I never forgot it. Years later, when I was in my late 20s, I found myself in a situation I am not ashamed to share, because I believe my struggle was given to me so I could serve others better. I was running a small educational institution, a yeshiva, and we had accumulated significant debt. Suppliers, utilities, salary obligations. It was closing in from every direction. I tried everything I knew. I restructured payments. I sought donors. I applied for every loan program available. Nothing moved fast enough. The pressure was unbearable. And then one night, exhausted and honestly broken, I opened my grandfather's worn copy of Tehillim. I found myself at Psalm 23, and something my grandfather said came back to me. They were engineers, not poets. So I stopped reading it like a poem. I started reading it like a blueprint. I looked at the Hebrew. I looked at the structure. I looked at the specific words chosen by King David, who was himself no stranger to crisis. And I began to see something I had never seen before. I applied what I found. I followed the method that I'm going to teach you today. I did it for 7 consecutive days, exactly as I'll describe. And by day 4, I received a phone call from a donor I hadn't spoken to in 2 years, unsolicited. He wanted to make a significant contribution. By day 7, a payment arrangement had been accepted that restructured our largest debt obligation in a way 3 different advisors had told me was impossible. That is when I knew. This wasn't philosophy. This wasn't wishful thinking. This was a real mechanism producing real results in the physical world. Now I want to be clear about why this works. The Talmud, in Tractate Tanit, teaches that every physical reality has a spiritual root. The rabbis called it the shoresh, the root. And this principle means that before anything changes in the physical world, something must shift in the spiritual dimension. Most people try to solve debt problems purely at the physical level. More income, less spending, restructure, refinance. These are not bad ideas, but they are incomplete. They are treating the branch while the root remains untouched. Debt, according to Kabbalistic teaching, is not just a financial condition, it is an energetic state. It is a state in which the flow of divine abundance has been blocked, not punished, not cursed, but blocked. Like a pipe that has developed an obstruction. The water exists, the pressure exists, the supply is infinite, but something is in the way. And Psalm 23, when read correctly, is a spiritual pipe cleaner. It goes directly to the root. I have to pause here because thousands of you have already downloaded the Jewish Money Code collection, and the messages I'm receiving are incredible. People paying off debt, attracting unexpected money, finally breaking the cycle of poverty. These 3 books contain everything: the rituals, the prayers, the mindset shifts, the daily practices, the complete system. The link is waiting for you in the description. Every day you wait is another day stuck in the same patterns. Now, let me share the most powerful secret. Write this in the comments right now. The Lord is my shepherd, and my debt is already dissolving. Write that. I want you to plant that seed in the spiritual dimension even before we begin the method. Now I need to talk about something that most financial teachers, most self-help gurus, and honestly, most modern rabbis will never say to you. And it is this. The reason most people stay in debt is not because they lack discipline or intelligence or opportunity. The reason most people stay in debt is because they have been taught to fight their financial problems with the wrong weapons. I know exactly what you've been told. You've been told to budget harder. You've been told to pick up an extra job. You've been told to cut expenses, negotiate rates, roll over balances, take out consolidation loans. And I'm not saying those things are worthless. They are not. But I have sat across from thousands of people, literally thousands over 4 decades, who did all of those things. They were disciplined. They were working harder than you can imagine, and they were still sinking. Do you know why? Because none of those methods address the energetic signature of the person carrying the debt. None of them reset the spiritual frequency that is attracting more scarcity. None of them cut the root. You can prune a weed every single week. It will keep coming back. Until you pull it out by the root, it owns your garden. The second reason conventional methods fail is that they operate entirely in the dimension of effect. Money is an effect. Debt is an effect. The cause is spiritual. Working only at the level of effect without touching the cause is like trying to clean smoke without addressing the fire. The Talmud in Bava Batra teaches that a person's sustenance, their parnasa, is decreed from above. This is not fatalism. This is an instruction. It means if you want to change your parnasa, you must engage with what is above. The third failure of conventional methods is that they are completely disconnected from the covenant. The Jewish people have maintained a covenant with the source of all abundance for 3,000 years. And within that covenant are specific tools, specific words, specific practices that activate real spiritual forces. King David did not write Psalm 23 to comfort mourners at a burial. He wrote it as a warrior. He wrote it as a king who had faced enemies, enemies who wanted to destroy him financially, politically, spiritually, and he recorded the exact words that had carried him through. Those words are encoded, and I'm going to decode them for you. Everything I am teaching you in this video is only the beginning. If you are serious about applying these ancient Jewish wealth principles to your life, I wrote a book called The Ancient Wealth Code. It contains the complete system, all 10 principles that Jewish families have used for 3,000 years to build, protect, and pass down wealth from generation to generation. This is not theory. This is the exact playbook. It is available right now in the description below and pinned in the first comment. Go get your copy today, because knowledge without action is worthless. Now let me tell you what I have witnessed when people apply this method correctly. I have seen a woman who was 3 months from losing her home receive an unexpected inheritance from a relative she barely knew, within 6 days of beginning the practice. I have seen a man who owed 4 different creditors receive settlement offers from all 4 within the same week, each offering to close the account for a fraction of what was owed. I have seen a young couple who had been denied refinancing 7 times get approved on their 8th application, submitted on the 7th day of the practice. These are not miracles in the supernatural sense. These are the natural results of aligning with laws that already exist. The rabbis understood this, and now you will too. Before I walk you through the exact method, I need you to understand something fundamental about Psalm 23 that changes everything. Most people think this psalm is passive. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. They read it, and they feel comfort. Comforted, but unchanged. And that's because they are reading a translation, not the original. In the original Hebrew, the 23rd Psalm is not passive at all. It is a declaration of present tense spiritual reality. Every single verse is a statement of what is, not what you hope for, not what you're asking for, but what already exists in the divine realm and is waiting to manifest in yours. The Hebrew word for shepherd, roa, also contains within it the root for seeing and for abundance of vision. When David says, "The Lord is my shepherd," he is not saying, "I hope God takes care of me." He is saying, "The one who sees all things and calls all abundance into existence is personally navigating my path right now." That is a completely different statement. It is a declaration of present reality. And when you read it that way, with that understanding, something in your energy field actually shifts. This is what the method is built on. Not wishful reading, intentional activation. Now let me talk about why this method is accessible to everyone watching, regardless of your background, your religion, your history. You do not need to be Jewish to access divine abundance. The Talmud explicitly teaches, Tana Devei Eliyahu, that any person who studies and applies divine wisdom is like the high priest. The wisdom does not belong to any one people. It flows through the channels that were built for it. And Psalm 23 is one of those universal channels. It was written in a specific frequency. When you engage with it correctly, you access that frequency. It's that simple. Right now, as we are speaking, we are living through one of the most financially turbulent periods in modern history. The Federal Reserve's latest signals about holding rates through 2025 have left millions of Americans trapped. Mortgage payments that won't decrease, credit card interest compounding faster than people can pay it down, small businesses hemorrhaging cash. The cost of living has outpaced income growth for 3 consecutive years. I have been watching this building for some time, and I want to tell you that this is precisely the kind of environment where the ancient wisdom becomes not just spiritually relevant, but practically urgent. The external systems are strained. The conventional paths are narrowing. This is exactly when you need to access something that operates above the conventional plane. So let me now walk you through the exact method. The Psalm 23 Debt Dissolution Practice. 7 days. Specific elements. Specific procedure. Real results. The preparation comes first, and it is not optional. The best time to perform this practice is during the pre-dawn hours, between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., depending on your location. The Zohar teaches that these hours carry a particular spiritual openness. The noise of the world has not yet begun. The veil between dimensions is thinner. The heavens, as our sages said, incline toward those who seek during the time of divine will. Now, if 4 a.m. is genuinely impossible for your life, sunrise is the acceptable alternative. But if you can manage the early hours, even once or twice during the 7 days, do it. Your mental state matters.